What's good, everyone? This is Ashe Moró at another Life Rhythm interview. Today we have another music artist here, and just to give you guys a little summary of what this show's about is we're highlighting right now creatives in Detroit. And the whole point is to create a one-stop shop place where you can meet some creatives here that are doing some awesome things. Detroit tends to be a community where everyone's trying to do everything themselves. And I'm just trying to create a platform that brings more people together. So if you see someone on one of the episodes, you get to hear like a little bit about them and maybe even reach out to collaborate. So a lot of the people that I'm bringing on are very open to collaboration. They're very like good people in general. If you were to reach out to them, like they'd be totally cool to, listen in. So today who we have is Stoop. He is a music artist from Detroit, and I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Hey, what's up? It's Stoop. Yeah, I'm a local Detroit artist. Thanks for having me. This is gonna be great. I'm very excited to be on your show.
Sweet, I appreciate it. And I wanted to start off by just asking you, what would you explain your music to be? Like, what type of music would you say that you create?
Yeah, it's funny. I never know what to say when I'm asked this question, but I've tried to be more prepared about ways I can describe it. But these days, I guess I call it like indie soul. It's sort of like the genre I don't know what I think makes the most sense for it. To me, it's sort of like where hip hop music, soul music, and like where indie rock kind of intersect. Those are three genres that have been really huge in my life. So I feel like I kind of take from each one of them and kind of make my own hodgepodge of the three. And I guess indie soul is kind of the name that I like. Right
Yeah. No, it's cool. I think in today's world, it's really hard to describe genres.
It is.
Because there's just so much like mesh between genres happening. I think that's also pretty dope. Like, I feel like the music is evolving with time.
Yeah.
So to have these different types of artists collaborating with other different types of artists, creating different types of sounds is like, to me, really cool.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it feels like it's more so like how the music makes you feel, or like how it makes people feel, rather than like how you would describe the actual sound of it. Like you said, there's just so much stuff people are taking so many different elements from different genres. It's hard to categorize it as one thing. It's just like, oh, it feels like this, or it feels like this,
So what type of things in your life do you feel like you relate back to the music you create?
I would say just about everything. A lot of my music is like about relationships, or just about, my interactions with people, or things that, conversations I've had that inspire just like song concepts. So I'd say, most of my everyday life, I'd say comes back to the music, just like interesting ways or takes on just like normal things that happen, just the way I kind of see them,
Awesome. And I know you've been creating music. We were talking before the show. For a little over 10 years. So do you remember like 10 years ago how much you've like evolved over time to where you're at now? I feel like you have an understanding of how to communicate how you're feeling.
Yeah.
What were some of the struggles back when you were first starting that you've been able to overcome, that you can maybe speak to another artist into helping them improve being able to communicate how they're feeling?
I guess I would say, first of all, it was a little under 10 years.
Okay.
As far as making music, and I'd say at the beginning, you kind of, it's like picking up a new instrument. So first of all, you learn how to play it, and then you look towards people who inspire you in whatever instrument that might be. So you try and play like them because you like the way they play. And I think I'm not sure if it was John Coltrane or Miles Davis. They said a quote, you want to learn how to play like yourself. So like you pick up the instrument, you learn how to play it based on people you like, and then eventually you realize, all right, I think I'm good enough at this now. Let me develop my own thing. This is how I do it. This is my style. So I would say it's the exact same thing with rap. Initially, or just music in general. Initially I looked towards the greats in hip hop and how they did things, and their flow patterns, the way they would write. And then eventually, as I got older, I started to be like, well, of course, hip hop was huge in my life, but there's also these other things that I love as well, whether it's the soul or the indie rock. And let me just put all these together, because that's the most, I think, the truest form of my artistry is all those things together, you know?
Yeah, I think that's, to just sum it up, basically the definition of finding your sound.
Yeah.
Is, and I did this similar with video as well, like really finding my niche was trying a bunch of different things and almost seeing the techniques that other people are doing that inspire me, and then trying also different routes, whether it's fashion, food, to discover even what area of videography, because videography is vast.
Absolutely.
And the same thing with music, like there are multiple genres. And once you reach that realization of what you really want to create, because that starts to stick out almost. And you just start to intuitively see like where you're being pulled to.
Yep.
And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, is like making that decision, or even being able to recognize that intuition of what they're being drawn to.
Yeah.
So do you remember like that moment where you felt drawn to like what you're creating now? Where you left more so the replication, or not necessarily like the replication, but like the inspiration, and changed it into really creating something that is coming from you?
Yeah, so I think the catalyst for that, so I joined a band at the, I want to say it was like the end of 2019, called Hard Car Kids. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them.
Okay.
But that's me and 5 other artists. We like made this collective one night. Some of my friends were on tour, and we just ended up linking up at a friend's house, and we just started making music that night, and we made a band. And the really cool thing about that was it felt like there were no rules in how we created. Everybody just sort of like, you know, whether you wanted to rap or sing, you know, we were rappers and singers, but the singers are rapping and the rappers were singing. It was just kind of like a whole, we just sort of tore down the walls on how we would create in our solo projects, and just did new stuff. And just that you know, that environment just kind of made me approach my own stuff very differently. I'm like, wait, why am I staying within this framework when I'm making my own stuff? Like, I have so much fun in this group, and there's no rules. Why don't I just try to approach my music in the same way? Like, there's no rules, there's no format, just make what feels the best. And then during the summer, when I started working with, you know, my friend Jacob Sigmund, he's also part of the group as well. We started a song, Sweet Baby Ray, and it was pretty different from anything I'd done. You know, it was pretty indie rock feeling, I guess. And for some reason, it just felt right, and I'm like, well, yeah, this is perfect. This is nothing that I've done before, and like, I want to approach this in a completely new way that I, you know, that's different from my other stuff. So that was the start of it, and I think that record, making that, you know, it was just really refreshing for me, and it's from there. I think the trajectory that I'm on now is just kind of like, yeah, I'm just gonna make stuff that feels right, and I don't really care about the framework or rules or anything I've done in the past. I just want to make stuff that just kind of feels good.
Yeah, and I feel like this has been a common theme, like on the show. I spoke with G, Wake Films, on one of our earlier episodes, and this whole idea of collaboration and the capability that, or what it creates, like the catalyst for really finding yourself. And what I keep trying to also preach within the community in Detroit is like, without collaboration, there is really no way to grow.
Exactly.
Like the collaboration is the catalyst for growth.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that even just in this conversation, it's a common theme.
Yeah.
And speaking of just working together, I recently saw you live, you know, with the live band.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. That was probably the first show since like quarantine. Like I hadn't really been back to a live show. Actually, no, I went to a live show to see Brian.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And Nick. They performed with Fangs.
Oh, nice.
In Ferndale as well, different venue though. But yeah, it had been a while since I seen like a live band. and it really is a different experience.
Yeah.
Because I listen to your tracks on Spotify as well, and the live band just creates a certain level of emotion and experience for the listener.
Yep.
And I'm curious, when you're creating music, do you take that live band into consideration, or does it more so come after the fact that you've created a single and then reverse engineered it?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely the latter, the reverse engineering. You know, when I go to, usually when I'm creating, I don't really think about the live band aspect of it, you know, in that moment. I think it's kind of fun to, you know, once a single is finished and then I have a show coming up, I'm like, all right, I want to do this song that I just put out. I'll play it for my band, and then they'll listen to it, and then we'll like come together and rehearse, and we'll make an arrangement. A lot of times it's completely different from, you know, the track that, you know, you hear on Spotify. And I love that. I love that part about it. You know, I think when you see somebody live, this should be a different experience than, you know, what's there on DSPs. You know, otherwise, like, you could just listen to the song at home. So yeah, reverse engineering it is for sure what I love to do. It's like a puzzle. You know, it's kind of like a game. You know, I think it's fun to do new renditions of stuff that I have. So, yeah.
Sweet. And the band that you're working with now, have you known them a while?
Most of them I have actually known a while. A lot of them I went to school with. I went to Michigan State with a lot of them. The area of campus that I lived at was near the music school, so a lot of those people are jazz musicians, and we always like eat at the same cafes and stuff like that. And I remember one time we were just talking, and he was like, "Yeah, you know, I know you do like rap music, I know you do jazz. Like, if you ever need a band, you know, hit us up." And I was like, "All right, I'll take you up on that." And then from there, we just started playing shows together and stuff. But yeah, I've known them for I want to say for at least like 4 or 5 years now. Most of those people. But yeah, I've known them for.
Sweet. And I always like to ask and end the conversation asking people about their experience in Detroit and what their experience has been with collaborating with local artists, and whether or not they feel like Detroit has that potential to become, you know, the next Atlanta, the next New York, and really grow.
Like, do I think that it does?
Do you feel like Detroit has both the resources and like the people here to foster that growth?
Yeah, I think we do have the people and resources to foster that. I just think it's a matter of just like initiative, you know, and people's willingness to do it. You know, I think like the pieces are here for that to happen. It's just people need to, I guess, step out of their box to actually, you know, collaborate and take that step to do it. Just in this past year alone, like, there's been so many things that I've been, you know, that I've attended or seen, and it just like, yeah, it's like, all the parts are here. We just got to do it, you know. But yeah, so short answer, yes, I think so. I think we do have the pieces to do it.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to let you kind of like shout out and let people know where they can find you, as well as I know you're releasing music pretty soon as well, a new single and an EP coming out. So go ahead and shout out to the camera.
Of course, I guess the easiest way to find me, just Google Stoop Lee on Google. That's STOOP space LEE. You'll literally find everything. All my social media, all my streaming stuff. And I have my single Lychee coming out on February 11th. So yeah, that's all I got.
Sweet. And I'm Ashe Moró. We're wrapping up another episode. If you haven't yet, after finishing this one, go and watch the other ones. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to be filming weekly, and we're trying to get to the point where we're editing weekly and releasing weekly as well. But for now, go watch what we have out. So, peace.